Hey there, welcome back to our Harkla YouTube channel. We're so happy to have you here today. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Jessica, and we're the Certified Occupational Therapy Assistants with Harkla. Today we're going to give you 3 tips if you're completing a Primitive Reflex integration program with your child.
Before we jump into today's video, we want to let you know that All Things Sensory Podcast now has its own YouTube channel, All Things Sensory.
It's linked in the description below, so if you want even more amazing content where we're talking about all things sensory and more, make sure you go check that channel out. Make sure you subscribe, leave us comments on those podcast episodes. We love to hear from you, and we drop a new podcast episode every Wednesday.
And now let's hop into the video. Hello, welcome, welcome, welcome. Chances are if you are watching this video, you are probably in the midst, or we hope you are in the midst of completing a full Primitive Reflex integration program. Generally, they are long programs. It takes a while to complete. Of course, you know, good, what is the saying? Good things take time.
Yes.
Good things come to those who wait. Something like that.
Both of those.
That's probably you right now. And we're creating this video today because if you are in the thick of a Primitive Reflex integration program, we want to make sure that you're doing these 3 things to make sure that the program goes as smoothly as possible.
Yes, before we dive into those, this could be a reflex integration program that you're doing with your in-person therapist. Maybe it's an occupational therapist, physical therapist, chiropractor, vision therapist. Maybe you're working in person with a therapist or a professional of some sort to help integrate your child's primitive reflexes. Or maybe you are inside of our digital course and you are running through the program with our videos and with our handouts. The 3 tips we're going to give you today are applicable no matter where you are in the Reflex program.
So we're just going to cut straight to it. The first thing that you want to make sure that you're doing is doing the activities, the exercises, the games with your child. It's so important because number 1, you can use this opportunity to build connection with your child or with your children if you have multiple children doing these reflex integration programs. The reason why we want to make sure that you are building that connection is because if you're not connected with your child during these exercises, during these activities, it's going to take those reflexes that much longer to integrate. Connection, feeling safe, feeling supported is basically reflex integration on its own. So that's why it's so important to get down on the floor and do the activities with them. Plus, it will help you.
I was just about to say,
I didn't want to forget that.
Chances are you might have some retained primitive reflexes that maybe are impacting you. These exercises are going to benefit you, the parent, whether you have retained primitive reflexes or not. They're going to be beneficial just to help your nervous system feel more regulated. And then an additional bonus of doing these with your child is they're going to feel more motivated to do this, knowing that they're not doing it alone. Nobody likes doing hard things alone, so make sure you're doing it with your child.
Yes.
The next tip is to be ready for a regression. We get this question inside of our digital course a lot, and then I talk about this with the clients that I work with in person, that you're going to see a period of extreme challenge, of regression. You have to climb this hill, and right before you get to the top is when it's the most difficult. And if you can push through that regression and keep going, you're gonna see amazing results. It's also okay to take a break if you need it. Just know that you're probably going to encounter that regression again.
But if you are doing the activities with your child on the floor, you're not pushing them to do things that are uncomfortable for them. You're doing those uncomfortable things with them. They will be so much more engaged with the activities. I notice when I'm doing them with my kiddos, if I'm like, okay, we're going to do this exercise now. Okay, everybody, let's do it. They're like, Mom, for real. And if I include it during play and I'm getting down on the floor and they're doing it with me and they're taking me through the activities and teaching me how to do them, they're the teachers, we're all just goofing around having a good time. They're like, okay, great, let's do it. What do you want? What's next? It's night and day difference.
So the reason that we see this regression is because as those primitive reflexes are integrating through the body, you're creating new neural pathways in the brain. And this is very difficult. The brain doesn't like to do hard things. The brain is meant to just keep you alive, survive.
Take the path of least resistance.
Take the path of least resistance. So when you're creating these new neural pathways, it gets difficult. You might see behavioral challenges. You might see, I've heard examples of children who start baby talking and acting kind of younger than they they actually are. You might have more pushback and resistance during the exercises, but just try to have some empathy with your child, even when they're making you so angry because they're being resistive and struggling. Try to have some empathy and remember that their brain is working so hard right now, and that's why you're seeing these challenges.
Yeah, empathy is key. That goes along with number 3, which is consistency is key. If you are not consistently implementing these activities on a daily basis, multiple times per day, you will not see change. But remember, the brain is plastic. The brain can change. Does it like to? No. It's not its favorite thing to do. It does take that consistency. And so when we are implementing a reflex integration program, there are very specific timelines and lengths of doing the activities every day. We cover all those in our digital course. If that's something that you're interested in, your OT practitioner, your therapist who you're working with should cover that as well. But just note that if you are not adding these to your calendar every day, if you're not adding these to your family game night agenda, if you're not adding these into the morning and evening routine, you're gonna forget about them. So just put them on the calendar now, set a reminder, have your child do it if it's an older child or a teenager, have them put it on their calendar so they can take responsibility, and make sure that you explain to them, however old your child is or your client, explain to them why you're having them do these activities and why we're even asking them to do these silly movements anyways.
Yes, consistency really is key with reflex integration, because in order for those new neural pathways to really solidify, repetition is what is needed here. So those are our 3 tips. If you're going through a reflex integration program, try the things that we are recommending today, see if it's helpful. If you're already doing this, if you're already seeing success, we would love to hear from you as well. You can leave a comment on this video. If you have questions about primitive reflexes, you can also leave those in the comments.
If you are going through a reflex program, or if you have before, let us know in the comments. We want to hear your feedback and how it's going and what you love, what you don't love, what's easy, what's challenging. Let us know.
If you liked this video, make sure you click the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We release a new video every week, and share this with somebody else.
Don't forget to listen to our podcast. We talk more about primitive reflexes on our podcast. We have some great interviews about primitive reflexes as well. You can find it on iTunes, Spotify, all the things, and it is on video on Spotify and on YouTube as well.
And then follow us on social media. On Instagram, we are at Harkla_family, as well as at All Things Sensory Podcast.
And with that, we will plan on seeing you next week.
Okay, bye.
Hey there. Sorry, I felt really... Did I do that wrong?
You forgot to say your name.
Oh!